Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, well, the fact of the matter is, I've just missed y'all so much. Here we are in my backyard on the 4th of July. That's right, it is Independence Day. The United States celebrates with 18 billion more flags than we normally fly, and a lot of fireworks and celebrations. And well, happy Independence Day to all those in these states. And happy Tuesday to everybody else around the world. It's been a long time. I have been on the road for a big stretch here. So 3 years ago or so, when COVID was there, not that it's ever really gone away, a trip to Scotland was put on hold. And we just finished our trip to Scotland just a few short days ago. So that was about 10, 11 days. We got back at about 7 o'clock p.m. on a Friday, and by about 10 o'clock the next morning, we were in the car for our first summer trip up to the cabin. Kind of 4th of July weekend trip. But 4th of July fell on a Tuesday today. So we had 3 glorious days up at the cabin, just sitting in the water and relaxing and playing some games and with the family. It was a super, super great time. So now I'm back to my jungle and we have some work to do. Now I need to start out this show with a great many thank yous, because my trip to Scotland and then coming right back and going up to the cabin meant a couple of things. And boy, there is so much in the brain right now. And the only thing I could do to ease my brain was to make a video, is to get back into bonsai just a little bit, to talk with all of you and share what's been going on. And so we're going to do that with kind of an update of where things are in my jungle of a backyard. But the thank yous have to come first. So I hope you stick around enough here just to help me out in thanking some people for me. So my little neighbor guy, buddy Alex, he's good friends with my 2 stepsons, Michael and Jacob. And Alex came over and turned on the hose every day so my sprinkler system could take care of the trees. Now I could have left the hose on the whole time, but we seemed to have a little bit of a leak at the spigot, and I couldn't fix it before Scotland. So he came over every day in the mid-morning, put on the sprinklers, and then came back and turned them off for me. Can't thank him enough. I haven't seen him yet even since we've been back. They've moved since we went on a little vacation. They've moved a block away. So I gotta settle up with Alex. Thank you, Alex, for all you've done to take care of the trees. Of course, I had to put all the trees in 3 major locations and spread them out so the sprinkler systems would get them all wet. So that brings up a good point with watering. So with a lot of the new folks that I've come into contact with in the last couple of years with bonsai, we always talk about watering and how important it is. It's not great just to put a sprinkler system on all your trees the same every day for 2 weeks. But I had no other choice. I was out of the country, and then I was up north, and I wanted my trees to survive. So good friends, good neighbors, and you can get your trees watered. Now, how did they all fare? We're getting to that really, really soon. We'll show you in just a little bit. But be careful with your watering. But, make it happen. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, even if it's just a quick check on your trees. Put them all in a nice close proximity so they don't have to work so hard at your trees. Mine are all over my yard. You all know my trees, especially the folks who have been around for a while. So the thank yous continue. So thank you to my father for helping with the cats. Thank you for my stepfather for helping with the cats. Thank you for my mother and father-in-law who took the kids on a great trip up to Duluth, Minnesota while we were gone and took care of the cats. And thank you to my children. So my children were taking care of the cats and some bonsai stuff as well. And some sad news to report. One of our cats had to be put down while we were over in Scotland. So long story super short, one of our cats has had some problems with UTIs, and he's getting into that upper or mid-teenage years. And I was called at like 3:30 in the morning Scotland time with the cats. That was emergency level care. And our cat was in a tough shape, and we had to make that decision real quickly over the phone. And so my kids took care of that for me. Fantastic. Thank you to all those folks who helped take care of the cats, take care of the trees. If you don't have good people in your life that help you out in those times, try to find those people. Try to get closer to those people and do good things for them and take care of each other. That's one of my messages today. Take care of your trees. I end my videos all the time with take care of you and take care of your bonsai. And I mean that every single time I say it. And I hope you all take care of you and your friends and family and your trees and do it all together. And that is one of the things that have just been the top of my mind over these last travel days over in Scotland and coming back and going up to the cabin. And there's a lot of things again up here which we'll share down the road. But I want to do one more shout out. Well, actually two. My first shout out, bonsai related, is to Tony. Hey Tony, I'm thinking about you every single day, multiple times a day. And Tony, I wish you all the best on this journey of yours. And if you want to find out where Tony is from Tony's Bonsai and what he's up to, go check out his channel. He's given us some updates. But the extravaganza videos will explain what's going on. I'll let Tony do all the talking. Tony, oh man, I so appreciate you and all you do and all you've done. And all these next videos, man, they're for you. And I hope you enjoy. And then because I'm thanking you, Tony, and other people from the bonsai world are seeing this, I just can't thank the bonsai community enough. I have to say, in a time where social media and there's the talk in the news with mental health going down the toilet, right? I feel so much camaraderie and closeness to all the people that connect through social media with YouTube, with this bonsai channel, and all the channels that I watch, like Tony and Nigel Saunders and Blue Jay Bonsai, yes, and Candace from Bonsai Science, and Steve's Backyard Bonsai. And there's so many to mention. I'm gonna forget all of them, so I'll just stop right there and just thank you all. The people who respond and take care of each other when things get rough in this community is second to none, and that is something that I want to push as I move forward in my bonsai journey and just my journey in life. So we have some updating to do. I know you don't want to just sit here and watch me talk, and if you fast forwarded, here we go. Let's look at the yard so we can start to talk about what's going to happen in the summer, and that might even include this hole behind me, a quick little update from when I left to Scotland. So we start today in zone number 3 actually on my watering system, but it'll be our zone number 1. And what I did is I spread out all of the tiger bark ficuses. There are some over here, and there are some on a bench right there, and there's some just kind of splattered around so they would get more of the sprinkling system. When I have them all up here, if I don't water them by hand, I fear that I wouldn't get a lot of these other ones watered that were tucked behind. So all the tiger bark ficuses are looking really good and strong. They've been watered real good, they look healthy, no yellowing from lack of water or even too much water. In here is also a couple of boxwoods that I just threw in here because I have some big boxwoods I'm going to be working on in a couple of projects here down the summer, and so those seem to be doing well. We got some trees up at the top. We've got one of my Siberian elms back there on the right looking great. We've got a taxus here. We've got a quince up here on the left looking fine. Look at the growth on these zelkovas. Look at how big these zelkovas are getting here. Loving life back in here. Got a couple of, what have I got here? I got, the triangularis down there. That's shooting up a little bit. This is one of my berry bushes. But Dracaena, look at the little Dracaena forest. We got 3 trees in there doing okay. There's the big triangularis. Look at how nice and lush the color is on that one. Looking so good. And then, of course, I got tons of clumps of larch in my collection. And I even have a clipping from a repot of a citrus tree that one of my friends from the local scene here we worked on before I left for Scotland. So there's the cabin, zone number 3. This is part of the zone. Let's go to part 2 of this zone, which is right over to the right. So over to the right, we have our bench that has 2 of my forests I work on today this year with Andrew Robson. And Andrew Robson and I worked on these 2 forests. They're looking really lush. Haven't done anything with them all summer. Got the barberry there in the middle. And then there's one of my boxwoods. That boxwood right there is over a great big rock in that box, and that has put on a lot of growth this year. So the boxwood looking good. No trimming on that yet. See, one of the things about me going on these trips and having a really busy spring is I've done very little work on most of my trees, so we've got some stuff to do. Behind the tiger barks, look at that. That's my collection from Henry 2 Bonsai. There's a willow in there and a couple other of trees. There's also some weeds, I think. We got the Schefflera from mother-in-law. The 2 Scheffleras are doing well. I did trim both of these up a little bit, and that's all fresh new growth, and that one's looking good. Got a big weed dragging in from somewhere. So yeah, we have a forest, an absolute forest. All this stuff we haven't even touched for weeding our garden in so long. We continue. Right by the fish pond here, I have all of my larches in their glory. These were all chopped up by some bunnies. Look at that. They just made them for me. They made my decisions. They left the rest of them alone. They chopped them off, didn't eat them, said, hey, I don't like those, which is good because they've left the rest of them alone. And there's the hibiscus. Hibiscus had a big, heavy prune about 4 weeks ago, and looks like we didn't do very much to it already. Super nice and lush. We're going to try an air layer right there later on this summer. So that is zone number 1, from the fish pond all the way over to the cabin cold frame. Whew. So far things are looking good. Now zone number 2 is in the middle of the garden towards the second bench I have in my garden with bonsai on it. I got my nice big larch there in the Sarah Rainer pot. That one's looking pretty good and filled out. I still have that gap in the middle. Nothing's growing down there. We'll have to work on that. Back behind there, we have my variegated Benjaminas back there, and we have a Japanese maple back there. Way back over there, there's one of my elms, my Siberian elm forest, right in there, plushing out real good. And then right here, we have a couple more of those variegated Benjaminas that I'm probably going to add to that forest and make it look much bigger. Got another Japanese maple, and there's the Sarah Rainer pot where I had the Cascade juniper, and it's been cracked and chopped twice now, so it's just kind of a stubby, I don't know what in a pot right now. Still isn't growing that tremendously well even after the repot, so I'm not sure. That one has been just kind of a finicky one. And then the bench number 2, which right now is at the edge of my hole, which most of you know that's part of my passive solar greenhouse hole. We'll talk about that in a moment. But we have a second flush of growth on the dwarf Alberta spruces going on. I did trim the trees in this before Scotland. And look at how just full they look. I mean, I didn't go that low, but they just look full. We got all kinds of the willow leaf ficuses on here on the left side. Back over there, we've got that blue star juniper right there. That's still looking pretty good. Got a tiger bark up there and some more zelkovas. Big boxwood over there with a little hole in the center of that tree where bugs and critters or birds and squirrels can go in for pretend. That one's looking healthy. Candace gave me a real stump of a Chinese elm last year, and one of them died, but I still have that stump just pushing out tons of growth. And again, we have some more, couple of succulents back there with the Portugalcaria afras, another tiger bark. Just bench number 2 hanging out, looking really lush, and did really well over the 2 weeks that I was gone. Are you ready for it? Let's look at the hole. So here's the hole in the ground. Yep, a little dirt in the back, a little dirt on the side there. The birdhouse came crashing down. I get closer, but I don't want to come crashing down. We had a couple of big storms in the last 2 weeks. One was a week and a half ago, which created this cave-in, and then we just had some rain this morning after a system came through last night. So I'm glad there's not more dirt and sand caving in. So a little cleanup, and then we can work on the first row of blocks going in. I can't wait for that. And last but certainly not least, our final update for the day is zone number 1 actually, which is our third of today, but it is my big bench where I hold all the workshop trees. So we got willow leaf ficus, we've got some Green Island ficus, and the tiger barks are behind me back by the cabin. So all of those are going to be workshop trees, and 2 weeks from now, that'll be almost completely annihilated. They'll be gone. Up on the top shelf are my trees. We got quite a potpourri of trees there. Got a willow leaf ficus right there on the right. We've got that Portugalcaria afra variegated, cascading. Here's my juniper from one of our MBS workshops in year number 3. My taxus, I put on a lot of new growth this year, but slowed down again. There's one of my slabs I planted this year, and this one looked a little bit droopy, but not too bad. And then I looked towards the left when I got back from the cabin, and uh-oh. Look at my weeping willow. So the weeping willow, we took that branch off, well, the critter did, and I put it back in, and it started to grow and root. But now it looks like it had 1 day of too much dryness, so I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it was just too hot on one of those 80-degree days. We had a couple of them back-to-back, and the sprinkler system just didn't do the trick. But then the other slab planting had a little bit of droopiness to it as well. But this morning's rains made everything really nice and soaked. So I hope they're all going to make it. As we move over to the main bench, there's a couple of areas of concern, but I hope everything again is going to be all right. Over here is one of my poplars that I love, and it's formed a really nice broom style up top, but it's got some brown, dangling, dry leaves there, so I hope that was just dryness again. All the leaves aren't bad, but some close inspection on those will be needed. Cut some of those dry ones off, do a little prune and see what happens. We got all the larch up there looking great. The new ones from this year's order, my old bog forest of larch. All of those but one were collected in a bog up in northern Minnesota. Those look great. But then look at my birch slab, everybody. A little nervous there. A little bit of dryness to that. Maybe they got a little dry and started to wilt down. But everything's green. Let's hope this rain this morning and last night really is going to wake these trees up. And it's going to be a nice cool couple of days so we have some time to recover. And then, of course, all the trees on the benches in front of all those trees, we've got some more larches. We've got some, oh my gosh, look at how much the Melina has taken off, everybody. The Melina, I cut completely everything off and defoliated all of it because it was just so hot from bringing out this spring. It didn't like the spring transition, and look at that. We've got a foot of growth all the way around in many different spots. A big, thick PA there that'll need some trimming in a little bit. Look at that. We've got the Christmas cactus. Sorry, everybody. Thanksgiving cactus. Look at all those new buds. That's just in the last 2 weeks. That lighter green on top. Some more variegated portulacarias. There's one of the pine trees from the tree farm from Bonsai Acres. It's the white pine that opened up real nice. It transitioned really well into the repot this spring. The other one is the Korean. That's right there, a real bushy one that put out a whole lot of new growth this year as well. So all those tips are new. And look at that little guy right there. That's one of the barberries. It's the barberry with the heart bottom. Look at the playlists for the barberries. You'll find that repot from this spring. And there's another one of my holiday cactuses, my Thanksgiving one. Look, there's blooms going to be putting some flowers out, but all those new buds as well. And all of the other trees, all the Yamadori maples we collected. There's some more larches. Here's the maple, everyone. Big update right here. Here's where that little tiny bud was coming up. And we've got 6 to 8 inches of growth right here. Right there on that spot, and the other branches on the other side. So we have now 2 branches on left and right as we twist this tree. But that is super fun. It's doing really, really nice. I think this tree next year is going to be pretty sharp looking. It certainly has a long way to go, but how fun is that? As we move along, we do have the very big, very thick amber maples. The smaller 3 clump, you can't even see the trunks really. There they are down there. That's looking fun. We haven't touched that at all this year, except for the bottom section. Then the real big one, you can still see the chop points. We're going to cut those down lower here. Now that these leaves have hardened off, we'll make that cut later on. Good time to do those major chops is in the winter before the spring push, and then after the hardening off of the leaves. And then there's all kinds of stuff in the gardens here. Look at that. I got my landscape down there with the car on vacation. Fluffing out. There's the air layer from the Japanese maple, and look at all the growth. So check out the air layer of the Japanese maple issue from only 4 weeks ago, and none of that growth was there. We got our air layers there, and we're going to look at those and see if we have any roots growing through there. A lot of PAs on the ground. Another big larch. Some of my leftover workshop trees. Some pines with overgrowth of weeds. Oh my gosh, my black spruce forest from up north collected as well. I want that to look like a real tall, skinny grove of trees that over all the years, all the lower stuff fell off, and we just got the tall stuff on there. Oh my gosh. So everything's looking really, really good. So far, huge success. A little concern with that. A little concern with what that is because it's dark in color, and a little droopiness on my weeping willow. I never said that earlier. This weeping willow, I'm telling you, I'm having so much struggle trying to grow a weeping willow. Always seems to be the one that gives me trouble. Well, there you have it, everyone. A quick update of the entire backyard. A lot of positives. Thanks again to Alex and all the family members for all the help. And Tony, thank you for the continued inspiration to make these videos, to work on the trees and to experiment and just do it. Just go for it. It lifts my spirits every time I work on a bonsai tree and every time I watch other people. And so thanks for that continued inspiration. It's so great to come back to a lot of healthy trees. I'm just a little overwhelmed. I've got a lot of work to do, but just going to make sure that they all stay alive, start re-putting them back in their place, and then we'll get some more videos made. And then, hopefully soon here, I can start on the PSGF, the passive solar green frame. I got to put the cinder blocks and make my wall structure next. That's part 2 coming up. We'll get some other videos out before that, I'm sure, because that's going to take a little while. I'm going to try to take my time. And I'm not at 100% health yet either, so that on a different episode as well. It was a strange couple of weeks. I'll say this, I'm feeling pretty good in general. My stamina and energy is not as great as it usually is for a couple of reasons. And I'll just tell you this, while in Scotland, I ended up in the emergency room and I ended up being admitted for a procedure. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm sorry for the teaser, but I gave you the update. We got more shows to put out, and we'll see how much we share. But I love the support from this community, so it's certainly worth sharing because you all are so great. So hey, until I can create this next video about the trees, about the PSGF, or whatever it might be, as always, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you very, very soon.